Gates are used to separate sounds based on their amplitude. So if we have a listen to this drum track, we can hear that the snare drum is louder and it has a higher amplitude than the rest of the bleed. Now, if we have a look at the gate, we can see that the threshold of the gate is set to 0 dB, which is higher than -3. So if I turn on the gate now and play the track, we won't hear anything. However, if I push this down to, let's say, -8, because that's below where the snare drum is peaking, the gate is letting the sound through. Now it's very short and abrupt, so we can use the attack, hold, and release time to change the timing settings to this. And in this case, I'm just going to turn up the hold settings. And we can now hear that 210 milliseconds is a little bit too long because I can hear the hi-hat that comes in just after. So I'm going to turn that back. Let's try 150. You can see that's a lot better. When you're working with sounds that have more complex decays, then you probably also want to work with the release settings. So when the gate closes, the sound isn't cut off too abruptly. However, sometimes there isn't enough difference in the amplitude between different sounds, and then we need to use an EQ before the gate to try and filter out the sound that we're looking for. In this case, as you can both see and hear, the amplitude between the snare drum and the kick drum is pretty much the same. So if I try and gate this, I either get nothing or I get both the kick drum and the snare drum. However, we can use an equalizer, which is on the right hand side here. So if we set that to monitor, and now we're basically just listening to what the EQ is doing, and then turn on the EQ. So now I've filtered out all the frequencies below 510 Hertz, so the gate will ignore those. So if we now try and isolate the snare drum, okay, that's a lot better. However, we still get a little bit of a kick drum there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the filters here to create a bandpass. So I'm also going to turn down the high cut-off filter. And now we lost the kick drum. So if I turn this up again, there's the kick drum. This technique helps isolate the area where the sound has the most energy, and that way we can gate out the sound that we're looking for. If I now bounce this, we can see how the gate has isolated the snare drum. We can use the same principle to isolate the kick drum. So in this case, I'm going to turn down the low cut to 20 Hertz, which is obviously the lowest that you can go. And then I'm going to turn down the high cutoff to 200 Hertz, and then see if we can dial this in. Unfortunately, the amplitude is too quiet in the beginning of the sound, so the attack of the kick is being cut off. We can hear a little bit of a click there. So I'm going to use the look ahead function to amend that, and look ahead essentially just place a little bit of space just before the gates open. So if I add, let's say, 6 milliseconds, and now we can hear that the click is gone. Okay, thank you.